What in the world was just said and just happened in Florida at Mar-a-Lago? It's going to blow your mind, and also we're going to talk about really the ramifications of that conversation. It was in jest, but there was a point of what Trump was saying. Also, we're going to dive into Bill Gates. What's he talking about with India, and what is the risk of this new food that cows have to eat? You know, we're sitting over our farm and our cows are grazing the land. But if you're not able to raise your own cattle, something you should be very, very cautious about. And not only that, who's the biggest investor in this so-called new feed? It'll blow your mind. Then we're going to talk about sabotage. How vulnerable is our grid? How vulnerable is our internet, our telecommunications? Why is it important to have things like satellite internet? Well, because two things just happened with China and also over in Europe. We're going to discuss those today and why we should be prepared, because there's always bad people out there trying to not do the very best for us and have our best interests at heart. Let's dive into these stories today. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. It encourages me tremendously, and we humbly ask that you do that. The last three videos, the last month, we have been really held down. So we need your help, we need your support. Comment below, tell us what you think, what videos you like to see the most. Today we're going to be talking about stories that impact you though, so we need to discuss these things. Now, you see we're on a farm. We own a farm, we're a sustainable farmer, and our goal is to raise all our own food. And we pretty much raise 100% of our meat and about 90% of everything else we eat. The purpose of that is so we can control our food. Why is that important? Well, this first story is a good representation of that. And then we're going to jump into the other two stories. Do not miss the last story. It's kind of mind-blowing, and we need to really prepare for something. So that's coming in the next few moments. Now, first story. Our friend, Mr. Gates. He's always trying to make sure that you are taken care of. Now, that's what he says. We're going to talk about this new cattle feed. But before that, he is doing a lot of testing in India. He called India just the biggest testing site. Now, it actually upset a lot of Indians and people in that country, because he just basically said, anytime I want to test something, anytime I want to see if it works or not, we go to India. Well, to me, that was a very disparaging and very bad comment he made. But that's exactly what he was trying to say. Look, we're trying new things, and I can't get permitting sometimes, and I can't get things passed. So if we can't do that in America, let's go to India, because they're always looking for new, innovative things. Well, those new innovative things actually are not sometimes the best for us. One of the things he's been pushing, of course, is against cattle, methane and all that jazz. It's absolutely the most stupidest argument I've ever heard, because as a farmer, the thing about regenerative agriculture, the thing that's made our earth keep on going for all these years, is how God built it. He builds animals to eat the grasses, clean up the earth, and ultimately use the restroom, which grows the grass again. That is called regenerative ag. That's something that's worked for so long. Well, now Bill Gates is telling you that is not right. Now, why is this important? Well, because of this story right here. Bovaer. Have you heard of Bovaer? I want you to look up Bovaer. Bovaer is an additive that will be put into feeds, and it will somehow probably get to your beef and your milk. It is meant to make climate change a whole lot better. It is a new feed additive drug. Now, did you hear that? A new additive drug. Now, what have we learned about foods? We've learned that the natural source of food, the natural way that food grows, is the very best for us. We've learned that herbicides, chemicals, things like that are not good for us. Additives are not good for our food. It makes our health not the best. Well, why are we now adding it to cattle feed so we clean them up and make it in the name of climate? Now, why is this important? This additive is a drug that is new to the market, something that Mr. Gates has worked on. But guess who is one of the biggest investors in Bovaer? Who is one of the biggest investors in Bovaer? BlackRock. Now, why is that a concern? Well, the reason it's a concern is because sometimes there's people and players in the world that are not looking out for us truly. And if they know they can manipulate the food system, then they know that the rest of their investment portfolios, which tends to be a lot in pharmaceuticals, could benefit from these additives. Now you do your research, but one thing I've learned is 100% of the time, God's been right, not humans. So when he makes grass, and then grass is ate by cattle drops manure out there back in, as nasty as that is how it works. And that manure is considered fertilizer. Fertilizer fertilizes the grounds. What do you think fall foliage does? When fall leaves come, they fall on our ground, they compost, they bed into our ground. This is a natural part of life. Why do we think as humans we have a God complex that we could do it better? The world's been here and it's worked fine. We don't need to change that. So again, why is it important to you? Because remember, if you're not controlling your own food, if you're not buying from local farms who have clean products and who are trying to do the right things in sustainable agriculture, regenerative agriculture, the olden ways, then what you're doing is you're adding more pharmaceuticals into your diet without you really knowing it, because of what they're eating is now going to them, going to their meat, to their milk, and then into your body. Now, the more that you put chemicals in your body, the more it will harm you, because guess what? You have to react, and your body has to react to the things that it is ingesting. One way to react is, well, let's just not buy this food and let's start eating clean. Well, if that doesn't happen, what happens then? What do doctors tell you to do? Well, get on this medicine, get on this certain thing, this regimen, that's gonna make it better. Instead of lifestyle changes, we just cover it up with more medicine. The two biggest investors into this product is two of the people that seem like they know better than what God does. One of the biggest investors in the world, BlackRock, and Mr. Gates. This is something to pay attention to, and remember, your food is always changing. The thing is, you better make sure that you know who and what you're buying at all times and the quality that you're buying. The more you pay for it doesn't mean it's healthy, but if you are buying healthy food and you're willing to pay a little bit more for it, actually what you're doing is you're benefiting your health for the longevity of your life. These are the provisions that God gave us, not some chemical-laced food. Before we go any further, a word from today's sponsor. As a coffee drinker, I absolutely love enjoying a cup of coffee in the mornings, even in the afternoons, especially when I'm a little tired. But has there ever been a time where you've drank coffee and it's either not made you feel the best, your stomach's hurt, or you enjoy the caffeine and then all of a sudden you kind of have a crash at the end? Well, that's why I started using mud water. Mud water gives you all sustained energy at a fraction of the caffeine that's in coffee. But you don't get the jitters, but you have sustainable energy all day. Not only is it a good, enjoyable drink, it's actually very healthy for you. Good for any diet, from kosher to non-GMO to organic, even if you're on a Whole30 diet, anything you can imagine, vegan. It's for any and every diet and any lifestyle that you have. It's a flavor like cacao and chai had a baby. So you get a little bit of that chocolatey flavor, but also the caffeine that you're wanting. Now, the other things about mud water that you need to know, it also has tons of mushrooms in it and tons of benefits to those mushrooms that helps you sustain that energy, but also a clean and healthy mind. From reishi to chaga to lion's mane to cordyceps, you're getting the best of both worlds. Not only sustainable energy like a coffee drink, but you're also getting a health boost for your immune system and also for your brain health. Use the link below, mudwater.com/themax. You will get 15% off your order. Remember, if you're buying quality coffee, it's pretty expensive now. So this could actually save you some money. Check out mudwater.com. That's mudwtr.com/themax. 15% off. Do not miss out on this opportunity. A great drink to start in your diet today. Thank you, Mudwater, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's jump into the big story, I think, of the day. What happened in Florida? What conversation took place at Mar-a-Lago? Now, Trump and Trudeau met. Again, this is an in-jest comment, but it has a purpose behind it. Trump came out and stated Canada, without the help of the United States, without the trade of the United States, the $100 billion a year that they're pretty much quote-unquote ripping us off on. Now, this is Trump's word to Trudeau. They wouldn't make it. Why don't we just make Canada the 51st state and just let Trudeau be the governor of it? Now, that sent the world spinning and trending, and it's like, oh my gosh, Trump is trying to take Canada. No, the purpose of the conversation is to say, look, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna put you in your right place, Trudeau. You came down here and I told you I was gonna put tariffs on you unless you worked with me. You're saying you're working with me. But without you working with me and without you doing business with the US, Canada is impoverished. Now, That's a bold, arrogant, cocky statement. I've told you before though, when it comes to leadership with Trump, that actually is a good thing. I actually like the bold, abrasive, like, you want to hit me kind of thing, because what it does is it shows power and strength. Way different than what we've got with Biden. So what Trump says is, look, we're going to take, let's just take the 51st state as Canada instead of all these other places, because to be honest with you, without us, they wouldn't have any money anyway. That's a funny statement. And the point of it is this: Canada, you either play ball, because we're the only ones providing you with the wealth that you have to play ball. If you don't play ball and we pull our cards back and we allow you to have to pay these tariffs and we don't do business with you, Canada will not be successful and will cease to actually have a great economy. It will tank it. So why is this important for other countries to see though? Because what he said is true. America is a big part of the world, and the world needs America. And America, of course, needs the world too. There's nothing wrong with admitting that. But what we've got to realize is that's why we should not be in trade deficits. That's why we should not bow down to Canada or Mexico or any other country, including China. We have to learn that we have strength, and we need a leader who's willing to kind of say the quiet parts out loud. Now, was he trying to, offend Canada or even the leader? No. Was he trying to, debase Canada for being a true country? No. Was he trying to say he's going to take them as the 51st country? No. What he was trying to do was prove a point. They need America, and if they want to do business with America, they will do it this way. And I think that's a bold, brash statement, and I think that's exactly what we need. That's what I want to see coming, not from DC, but again, from his home, where he had someone fly in to come talk to him. It's not about, quote unquote, kissing the ring. It's not about making them come to beg at your feet. That's not what it's about. It's about showing strength. And that's what a leader should be doing, showing strength. Especially when Biden can't hardly walk. No one has even seen Kamala. And this man is showing strength. Huge. Now, last story I want to bring up, and this is probably, again, another important story that you've missed. China. China has now said they will not send some high-tech goods and some technology to America. They will not even trade and sell anymore because of the tensions that are arising with America. Again, like I told you, remember, on the inauguration day of Trump, we will have aircraft carriers heading to the Indo-Pacific and the Asian Pacific seas in really formality of saying that our troops are right there beside you just in case you want to get crazy. I mean, it's a very bad show. It makes us look like we want to escalate a war with Taiwan and China. It's just pointless. But guess what? Now it's causing problems. And again, this is what happens when a failed administration just keeps on pushing policy and they've been voted out by the people. It says China bans high-tech exports because they want to make sure that they are in control of the trade situation. China has implemented a ban on exports such as gallium, germanium, antimony, and other key high-tech materials for dual-use purposes in the United States. This move follows the U.S. imposing new export control targeting China's semiconductor industry. Now, I've told you before, I have yet to figure out why we depend on them for semiconductor technology. Why do we depend on even Taiwan for semiconductor technology? I think we just need to hire some of these scientists. I think back in World War II days where it's like, that's exactly what we did. To get technology, we brought some of these scientists over and we started developing and learning it ourselves. Why are we not doing the same thing? I know there's been some companies that has done that on a smaller scale, but why don't we just become the semiconductor haven for America? If not, let's find new ingenuity and new ways and new innovative thoughts on building the same technology but with the resources we have here. So again, why are we even worrying about doing this trade with them? But what they're saying is we're holding off these things because of the problems that are occurring. Now, this is a play for China to stay strong too on the tariff and trade tensions with Trump. But what they're going to do is they're going to come to an agreement where, China and America both have, even though they may not like each other, they depend on each other for trade. China needs those exports going to America. America wants to buy the goods cheaper, so they tend to do it that way. So therefore, we need a better trade environment and not so tense. Well, first of all, if we would quit taking ships and moving it closer, and also China quit maybe sabotaging relationships and some cyber attacks, then I think we could get a better relationship. So I think Trump and Xi needs to sit down and have this conversation. No trade deficits. If we spend $1 trillion here, you spend $1 trillion here. If we spend $100 billion here, you spend $100 billion there. I mean, it's simple as that. That is a good relationship, and that way that adversary becomes not necessarily a friend, but they don't become an enemy either. It becomes a respected agreement. That's what we need. So China's already kind of calling Trump and saying, look, you don't want to play games? This administration is putting, ships at my back door. Well, you're not going to get the things that you need. So now Trump needs to say, well, there's a new guy in town, and we're fixing to go back to where we can sit at the drawing board and say, I don't want to pay trade deficits. I don't want you sending more of your goods over here than you're buying from me. However, what we're going to do is we're going to come up with a new deal. Now, the reason this is important, trade tensions, high-tech ware that we can't get. Well, there's another report coming out of Finnish and Sweden. Now, if you remember last week, there was a cable cut that was on the bottom of the seas that helped with telecommunications in Eastern Europe and in, of course, Europe all over, but definitely in Eastern Europe, in Sweden, Finland, and so forth. Well, guess what? Now, a second cable has been cut. Sabotage is expected. 2 separate incidences of damage of telecommunications cables between Sweden and Finland have been reportedly sabotaged. The cable, which is located on land, was severed in 2 locations. Now, this is not the same one that was severed in the seas. Why is this important? If you start breaking down communications, what do you have? If you start taking high-tech ware and not selling it to other people of the world, what do you have? Now, they have not said who is actually doing the sabotaging. They don't even know actually who's in charge and what's going on and what they want. But what we're starting to see in a world of tech-savvy countries is modern warfare is becoming technical. If we can't get the high-tech needs that we need and we can't produce our own semiconductors, then we're going to put ourselves in a century ago technology if all of a sudden China keeps advancing. Now, if we keep depending on telecommunications that are buried in wires undersea and on land and can be sabotaged, then we're going to put ourselves in a 100-year-old century ago while everybody else in the world is moving up. Now you ask, why does this matter since Sweden and Finland? Well, why it matters is it shows the importance of people what Elon Musk and them are doing with satellites and technology like Starlink. Now, do I believe Elon Musk is perfect? No, by no means. But what I'm saying is that's the kind of technology and innovation we need. We need people thinking outside the box. Running wires in the ground and where they can be sabotaged in the seas. I think of like the Nord Stream pipelines and all that. When we have sabotage and then nobody wants to admit what the sabotage was and who did it, what we're doing is we're either hurting the flow of information, communication, technology, or the things that we need to live by. The important part of this is we are coming into a new modern warfare. And if we're not prepared and we don't have the things that we need, it's not about war. It's not about going to war. It's not about any of that. It's about defending Americans. It's about making sure that people are able to be safe across the world. Not because we're going to go defend them, but they are building the same technology too. When I think about a landline telecommunication system for major countries cut, I'm thinking, why is it not protected? But then I think about our grid, and have you looked at most of our substations over in America? All across these states, they're literally exposed to where people, like in Utah 2 weeks ago, a lady was just climbing on the substation and it caused an outage. There's been brownouts and blackouts in California. Look in Canada where there was one incident and put the whole Montreal or Toronto, whatever big city in Canada, out for hours. So I make fun of other places and I'm like, oh, why are they getting sabotaged? And the whole time we have the same problem. Our technology is not helping us, we're hindering it, and we're not allowing innovation to come alongside and make sure our grid is protected. When's the last time you actually heard politicians truly talk about the severity of our grid and how important it is? When's the last time you've heard them say, okay, we're going to start building our semiconductors, we're going to start building the needs that we need technologically so we can defend against cyber attacks, so we can help other people get this technology. We don't need to keep building jets from 1900 and how we fought World War I, World War II. The point is now let's defend with modern technology, and let's make sure that when people are trying to attack us with the ones and zeros and try to sabotage us by taking our technology and the ableness to produce the goods of needing it, why don't we become innovative and find new ways to do that? That's what is scary. Because if we have to go back to a point where we have no telecommunications, we have no cars to drive in because they're all run by computer chips that we can't get from China. So what are we doing? We're actually putting ourselves in a very, very vulnerable spot. And that's what we need to pay attention to. This is the kind of stuff I think of, you know, the Secretary of Interiors and the Department of Homeland Security and the President. This is what they need to work on. Infrastructure. Not no fake infrastructure like Congress likes to do when they pass something that's a bunch of port projects. I'm talking about truly take care of our grid, take care of our telecommunications, and let's find new innovative ways to make the semiconductors, to make the technology we need so we're not having to depend on China or Taiwan. Guys, let me know your thoughts on today's video. Now, you know, I wouldn't want Canada as a 51st state. One thing, it's a bunch of liberals, so it'd be like another California that we'd have to deal with. So I would want that. But the point of what he was saying is just like what he did in Mexico. You know, Mexico stopped 2 migrant caravans just this week. I wonder why they stopped them, but they never stopped them with Biden. Is it because Trump threatened tariffs? I don't know, something to think about. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, please subscribe to the channel, share this message, and we need you watching. So make sure your bell's on for your notifications so that way we know you see the videos as they come out. Guys, thank you again. We humbly thank you again. And most of all, the reason we do this is because we want to share God's message across the world. There is a time when we can have common sense and wisdom again. And most of all, we want a spiritual awakening. And we're hoping we can use this channel for just that. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless. Be free. Be free.